A man I'd never seen before opened my door and handed me a paper. "You have 60 minutes to collect your belongings, ma'am. Access rights only." Access rights. To my own home, the locks on my front door had been changed. I stood there with my old house key in hand, the same one I'd used for 30 years. And it wouldn't turn. My name is Margaret Collins. I'm 72 years old, and the person who threw me out of my home was my own son. 3 days earlier, he'd inherited $33 million from my late husband, Robert. The house, the accounts, everything. I got a piece of paper, a lifetime lease that turned out to be worthless. But here's the shocking part. The will that gave him everything, it wasn't what Robert truly wanted. And my son knew it. His wife Sophie knew it too. They thought I'd just fade away quietly. They were wrong, because behind an old cookbook, Robert had left me something. A ledger that would bring their entire scheme crashing down. This is the story of how I lost everything. And took it all back. But before I begin, subscribe to Unspoken Files so you never miss stories like this. Robert and I built this house from scratch. A tiny 2-bedroom that smelled like wet paint and hope. Over the years, we turned it into a home. Birthdays, storms, Christmas mornings. Our walls held them all when Robert died 3 years ago. It was just me and Ethan and all the words we didn't say. Ethan always had that easy charm, that grin that got him out of trouble. Then he met Sophie, all grace and smiles. A perfect shell hiding sharp edges. Everything seemed fine. Until the lawyer called, the office smelled of old paper and bad news. When the will was read, Ethan got everything. The main house, the accounts, and I was left with a conditional lifetime lease. I saw the look in Ethan's eyes. Not love, not guilt. Ownership. 3 days later, my access was revoked. The locks changed at noon. A stranger handed me a memo. Sophie watched from the upstairs window. Smug. I packed a single suitcase and checked into a cheap hotel. People ask why I didn't fight right then. Because life isn't a movie, it's paperwork, patience, and strategy. So I waited. I watched. I learned Sophie's charity events, Ethan's business meetings. Patterns started forming. Names, donations, transfers. Then, one day, I overheard a woman bragging about Sophie's foundation. The name rang a bell, something Robert once mentioned when we were setting up small community grants that night. I dug out old files, searched online records, and found it a fake foundation with money funneling through shell accounts. And Ethan's name was on every document. Then I remembered Robert's habit, writing little notes on everything. He used to joke that truth hides in the margins. I went back to the house when they weren't home. Behind that old cookbook, exactly where he said, I found it, a ledger. With his handwriting, it wasn't about money. It was about proof. Robert had quietly protected me in legal language, a clause, ensuring guardian rights for his surviving spouse. Someone had twisted it deliberately. I gathered every receipt, every transaction, every message I could find. Then I called a lawyer, an old friend's daughter I'd once mentored. "We'll need to show intent," she said. And that's exactly what we did. The court case took months. We uncovered hidden transfers, false donations, and personal accounts disguised as community outreach. Ethan sat there with his calm smirk. Sophie didn't even blink. But when the audit report came out, it shattered their mask. The judge ordered restitution, canceled their access, and reinstated my ownership rights. Sophie's foundation was forced to return every dollar with penalties. They lost the house. I got my home back. Weeks later, neighbors came by with casseroles and kind words. I sat on the porch and listened to the sound of wind through the old oak tree. Forgiveness didn't come easy, but peace, it did. Slowly, Ethan called once. He apologized, said Sophie pushed him. Said greed makes people blind. He wanted to come home just to talk, and I let him, but not inside. We talked on the porch. Because some doors once closed don't open the same way again. Now, I run a small program helping seniors understand their wills, so no one else gets blindsided like I did. When people ask what the real victory was, it wasn't the money. It was my name on the porch light again. I am Margaret Collins, and this is my home. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to Unspoken Files for more real-life stories of courage and justice. Because sometimes, the quietest